Hey everyone, welcome! Today we're going to make a full ultra-realistic scene in Unreal Engine 5 using free assets and a beginner-friendly approach. In this video, you will learn how to easily make an amazing looking scene for your game or virtual product. Hope you enjoy! Alright, so for this project we need a product which is called Rural Australia, and you just want to look this up and then add it to your project right here. You can download this is completely free, and yeah, just do that. All right, now that we are here in the project selection screen, go to games and then select let's just select the third person and keep everything the way it is. Projects, desktop, maximum, and starter content. We don't need the ray tracing on right now. We can always add that later. For now, this is just the way we want it. I call it realism project and click on create. All right, here we are. We got our project ready, and we got everything in it that we need, our starter content and the rural Australia content. So for now, what we're going to do first is we are going to make a complete new map. We're not going to use any of the rural Australia maps. We're just going to completely create a new level. So do that first. Now, we're going to start by adding the landscape, because we are going to need a landscape to work on. Now this is pretty easy. We're going to make a pretty small map just to showcase a very high quality realism map. We don't want it to be too big because we already need a pretty beefy computer to even run this. We don't need it to be bigger than what we need. So for now, let's just make it 25 by 25. Choose the landscape material from the rural Australia. It's just called landscape. Add it and then create. So it's going to take a minute here, but once it's ready, we need to address all of the different landscape materials into the right layers. So you want to go to paint and you want to go to scroll down to target layers, and then click on each of these landscape setups. All right, so now what we have is we have a very small landscape with basic layers that we can add, and it will change the layers as we add it. So we can kind of customize this landscape the way we want it to. And we can make it more, with the leaves. We can do whatever we want to this landscape. Ooh, oh, that's not good for the eyes, but we can do whatever we want for this landscape, right? Make it pretty cool that way. So this is what we have now. Now we need a skybox. So it should have a skybox based inside of the rural Australia. It's called BP Sky 01. And you want to just throw that in. So now it generates a skybox, which is just a general good looking skybox. You can kind of rotate it the way you want. You can kind of change the emissive scale if you want. You can make it darker. You can make it lighter. We're just going to keep everything on 0 and 1. You can even set automatic rotation to this if you want, but you can just set this the way it is, and that's all we're going to need for now. And then I want to kind of take this scene here and make this a super ultra mega realistic scene. So we're just going to set it up like this, and we then want to add a camera and then put that camera kind of where we are. And then this camera is basically going to show us the view that we want to have for our Vista, right? For what we, for what we want it to be. So now, as you can see, it's all dark because there's no lightning. We can see lightning because we're in the editor, but if we actually were to load this in, we were to take the player start, put it down, and load it in, you'll see that it's all dark because there's no lightning set up here. So we are going to have to fix that first. Now, I do want to preface this real fast is that this will be a level you can play in, but having such high detailed stuff going on in a really big level, so this is small, right? But if it's really big, it's extremely difficult because the game will, you need to have such a beefy computer for it to work, and it requires a lot and a lot of optimization, which I will not be covering in this video because optimization is a whole series on itself. This mini series will just be about this square and how we can make this scene that this camera is portraying as cool as possible. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to try to do. So first, let's get lightning going. So let's go to the lights tab of the place actors and let's add directional light. And you can see it's already a lot cooler. And then also add skylight. Now, we are going to put both of these on movable because that generates real-time lights. And you can already kind of see how this is already showing a lot more quality than it did. Now, in this camera actor, you cannot see the end, which is important because we're not going to do anything here. We're just going to fill up this 90-degree kind of camera field of view. Yeah, it's actually a 90-degree camera field of view. You can actually change that if you want, but we're not going to. Keep this on 90 degrees. And the way that we're going to do that is by adding plants, changing the terrain here and there, and just making everything look pretty cool. I'm thinking about making like a path, and then as it goes down the path, you know, stuff will appear. So let's do that. First, let's add a fog. So we want the exponential height fog in here. This exponential height fog has to be kind of warm, I think. So we kind of want it to be more red orangey. And then we want it to be dense, but not too dense. You know, and we also maybe want it, actually, let's just keep it white. I think that's better. You kind of have to play with this the way you kind of want this to go. Because fog is pretty important for distance objects. And then eventually we'll also add a local fog, which will kind of show almost like some kind of dew, which, I mean, I'm from the Netherlands, right? So we have dew everywhere. I don't know how much morning dew you have in Australia, probably not a lot, but it will add a cool effect. So we'll do that. Let's first create the landscape. So let's take a smaller brush, go with the roadside map layer, and then go, let's see what it looks like. It's not changing. Is this already roadside maybe? Okay, give me a second here. Let's get stones. There we go. Stones, yeah. Alright, so let's make it a little stronger so it goes on immediately, and then let's just make a path that goes like this, and then like that. Now, we do want to kind of change everything back to dirt. Ooh, it's loading. And then go back to stones, make the brush size very small again, and then just kind of like make like a road like that. This is, ooh, that's actually pretty crazy. Let's get rid of these big ones. Oh man. So you actually kind of want to get rid of those, like, because it's a road, right? Is that a snake? My God, this is a crazy detail. I didn't know there were snakes in this pack. My gosh. Props to the creator for sure. It's in the description. So um, it doesn't load that far anyway. So once we're here, there'll be like a small road. And then actually let's try to continue this road with some leaves, which actually, no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Uh, I do not like this. Like, mm, okay, I think that's okay. And then that will be our road, where it's kind of. I think that's good for now. And then the roadside can be more put, like we have to add some roadside because you see these plants are not growing in the place where we replaced dirt. So actually, let's add some grass here. Oh wait, that's not what we want. Yeah, let's just add some gravel. All right. So and we kind of want this to be a road that goes through the forest. So on this side, it will be more foresty. Let's lower the tool strength and make the brush size bigger and just kind of go over this, placing a few clicks. Because we kind of want a little bit of grass to come through here because this is going to be the foresty side of the of the layers of the path, and then this side is going to be just well, not forest, uh, out back or whatever. And then let's add some hills in the distance by clicking a few times with sculpt. Just very gently. We don't. Oh, that's way too much. We don't want that. We just want a few clicks here and there. Okay, that's good. Then we are going to start placing static meshes. So the static meshes, let's make this one much smaller and this one much bigger. And this is going to take a very long time because we're going to place a lot of static meshes here. And yeah, it's just going to take a bunch of time. So I will make this a two-parter. Let's start with the static meshes, but there'll be a part 2 later where we will go over the remainder of the static meshes because first we need to add a few cliffs. In the distance, it's kind of like a painting. For people that are painters, they will know that in a painting, an acrylic painting or whatever, you have a foreground, you have a middle ground, and a background. And the foreground will be the forest, the middle ground will be the distant landscaping here with some rocks, and the background will be this awesome cliff where, um, yeah, which will look fantastic once it's done. Because again, these are amazing assets. So we have I just want this to be kind of like a mountain almost, where we just have to copy and paste these a few times and change the static mesh around to make it look different enough where it doesn't look like it's copy pasted, but it can be a little stretch it out and all that stuff. And it also needs to be a full ground. There we go. So once we're here, we'll actually see this as kind of like a mountain. So that will keep going. This side, however, I want it to make a turn. So we will copy this, but then turn it into this cliff right here, which looks huge, but we're actually going to turn it like this, make it smaller. Kind of mold it in there. Copy and paste it and turn it again, and then put it like kind of here. So looks weird from that angle, but once you're looking here, it kind of looks like it makes that turn, right? And then we take all these rocks and we copy them over, and then we put them back, like I think around there, and then at an angle. So let's put them like this. And then what we do with this one, for example, we can invert it. So we just invert it so it looks different. Invert that one, invert this one the other way, and then turn it around. So that we have a different rock formation than below. Otherwise, it's the same thing, and it looks weird, right? So now we have this whole rock formation, which we will, make this look more unique later, but we need this initial rock formation here for the background. It's going to be covered mostly with trees and all that stuff anyway, but this is just important to have set up. So with the background done, mostly, we want to do the medium, like not the foreground, but not the background, kind of in the middle. And here, we're just gonna throw some rocks down. That's it, nothing special with that. Just throw some rocks here and there. Why are these floating? Maybe turn the snap off, because then they will actually land on the floor instead of floating. But yeah, just throw some rocks here and there. And then the ones that are in the background can actually be sized up a bunch. So, for example, this one can be like this and then turned like that. But again, like if this was a video game, you could walk around it and then, oh, there's a hole. So you have to make, like, this is very good for a scene or for a background or whatever. But if you actually want to use this, you can't always turn them like that. I mean, I guess yeah, see, because, yeah. All right, and then I think we can put a rocky ridge here, which is a lot bigger, but it really adds a lot of character to just have like a whole ridge set up here. A few rocks in front of it, and a big rock behind it, like that. Like that. Okay, so now, actually, let's put a rock here. Okay, so now you have this, which looks pretty cool. Just to, make it big so you guys can see, if you were to go in here, set up the play mode to simulate, and then make it big. Wait for everything to load in. It'll kind of look like this, which already looks pretty realistic, looks pretty good to me. Look even better. So first, let's clean this place up. Now, as you can see, the outliner is actually pretty important in a actual project, because you want everything to be kind of like cleaned up in here so you can find stuff. So let's actually make a few maps in here. So we're going to create a folder. I mean folder, not maps. I mean folder. This one will be rocks, and then we're going to make another folder which will be foliage, and then we'll make another folder, and that one we'll call main. I like to use all the things that are important to the to like the actual map itself to be placed in the main folder. Next to that, we're going to Control A, so select everything else, put it in rocks, because that's what it is. And now we have a nicely cleaned up outliner, which is important. So we have our camera, we have our light, we have our fog, we have our landscape, our player start, and the skylight, and then of course the skybox. So, all right. Now that this is cleaned up, let's go into our static meshes folder and let's find the rural Australia folder, and let's actually place down some stuff. Now this is going to take a while because we want to make sure that everything is placed with utmost care. Now this is going to be our scene, right? Now we can adjust that if we want, but for now this is going to be our scene. We're going to turn off the snap. I'm going to explain to you guys real quick what this does. For the people who don't know, this is a toolbar that allows you to place objects easily. So I did not explain it in the last episode, but I'll explain this one. Let's say I put this rock down and I have the grid on and the snapping to rotation grid. Now everything will be snapping like that. And when I move the object, it will also snap in a 10 in a distance value of 10, and this will snap in a grid value of 10 degrees. If we put this to 120, the degree will be 120 degrees, which is a lot. This is good for if you want to work with very strict level design setups where you need something to just turn 120 degrees so you know it's correct. And the same goes with the positional grid value. Now, I prefer to turn these off when I place down objects, so I can really place them down exactly the way I want them to. And this is the scaler. So this does the same thing as these two, except this works with scale. Turn that off too. So now we can place down our objects in the right way. We're not going to use the foliage yet. We are going to use the foliage tool when we place trees in the distance. For now, we're just going to make our scene. Because this is a forest, I like to make a little hill here. For me, personally, I always think it looks better when you have like a little hill, which blocks out the corner here a little, so that it really shows that that it's a big forest almost. And so that's what we're going to do for now. We're going to quickly make a hill that will show off the size. So let's actually raise this a little like this. And we just want to make a little hill here. Now this is way too much. So we're going to smooth that out. And it just needs to be a little taller. I actually made it way too tall. And this will add a little bit of verticality almost to the scene, where the trees are a little higher and it's like a big forest that you can still look through because you need to see the back, but you just want a little bit of forest there. So let's start with placing trees. Now these trees are pretty high value, high quality, I mean. So they're going to have to load in a bunch, which is okay. Just might take a minute for this to load in correctly. There we go. And we're going to place them down so that they actually kind of melt into the ground. You want to take your time placing these trees because this is a high value detailed landscape, and we want to make sure that every detail is done in the right way. We don't want these trees to clip with each other too much. They can clip a little, like like we're seeing over here, this is okay. Because we're not going to see that well anyway from this side. But we don't want, for example, this, where the whole tree branch goes straight through it. We want to be careful with that. So make sure to place different trees. Trees that you haven't placed down before would be good. Um, and just make sure that they all um, actually sit right there and make sense. We don't want trees on an angle. So if you're going to put a tree on this hill, let's say we do it here, make sure that the tree goes inside the ground enough where um, there's not an angle, because trees don't grow on an angle like this, for example. They just don't. Um, they will always go up straight. So make sure that actually works out. And just go take your time, place some trees, and worry about making them making it look nice later in terms of, you know, the upside. And then, so I mean, like the top of the trees, can worry about those later. So, okay. So let's place one more here, like one big one. And now we have a couple trees. I already see how good that looks with these trees on one side and no trees on the other. All right, so now we want to fill up this middle part here. So as we open up the camera, you can see that there's a little bit of open space here, and we want this more filled up, and then also this side. So let's actually start with this side first. I think would look really good is a big log on the side here. I figured maybe something like that will look pretty cool. Maybe it's too close to the camera. Yeah, I think we need to do it a little further, a little bit more like this. Maybe even a little further. There we go. And then I think we should just fill up this area here and a little bit over here. So maybe this log would be cool to use here. I don't know if it's maybe too big. If it's, yeah, that's too big, but maybe this one would be better. There we go. Turn this around a little. Put, a little grass tree in here and put something in here that really showcases that it's been laying here for a long time, that piece of wood. Put some grass here. Put a grass tree over here. And then maybe a few more rocks, just put them in the ground. And rock over here. Just kind of fill it up with stuff. Makes it look better if we do that. All right. Okay, I think we are pretty far in. Let's actually look at this when we simulate this. And oh, look at that. Give it a minute to load in. And here we go. Our high quality Unreal Engine 5 scene game map thing. I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I think that, obviously, as you go along this path, the path gets crazier because we haven't really done anything about this path. And if you look behind here, you can see through it. And that's, the map will fall apart and look weird as you go around things and look at things differently. But I think as long as we stand over here and we look somewhere around this path, I think this looks pretty cool. I think it looks pretty amazing. And I'm pretty happy with this. So I really hope that you guys learned something from this tutorial. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys will leave a like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Tell me what I have to make next, make a tutorial about next. That would help out greatly for the channel, and I really hope you guys had a great time working on this with me. Um, and yeah, I mean, you can also use this, as a game if you want to uh, just make it as a game. Obviously, you can. It's kind of gets kind of foggy because it's still loading in, but once everything is loaded in, the game will look pretty good, and I think you can make really cool maps with this. Keep in mind that it's really, really hard on the CPU, and it's quite uh, it's quite high quality, so not everyone can run this, but I mean, this is pretty good looking. You can make a really good looking game um, with not a lot, relatively speaking, not a lot of effort with these amazing packs. And uh, yeah, I really hope that you guys have learned something from this tutorial here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, goodbye.